Fragments of skin. A phalanx. This finger wasn't cut off, it was ripped off. Tooth marks, rather deep ones, I'd say of incisors, and a canine. I can see something. Black and damp earth under the nail. Interesting. I can see something.
Bite marks on this severed finger. I am afraid of the significance.
The thieves didn't get what they wanted. When they were faced with the bishop's refusal to cooperate, one of the gang shook his finger at him to indicate that he was responsible for his unfortunate state.
And the poor man, whose head was the only part of him not bound by ropes, bit the finger violently enough to sever it. An uncommonly savage act.
Watson, I am certain that when we have explained the reasons behind this sudden bestiality, we will have revealed a larger part of the mystery.
There is something written on this scalpel. I should clean it. Ah, I can make out WCCH. What do the initials stand for?
How many hospitals are there in the Whitechapel area, Watson?
If we count public dispensaries, enough to keep us busy for an entire month. Did this scalpel come from a hospital?
Yes, as the initials WCCH engraved upon it show us. We must think on how best to deal with this. We do not have the time to investigate every hospital in Whitechapel.
I have cut a small piece off the rope. That should be enough. This rope is only worn on one side. I need some. A lot of fragments of black stone are wedged into this rope. Their color seems unnatural, but they are too small for me to examine them. Black and damp earth. This rope is only worn on one side. This rope is only worn. I can't do that. I must compare the samples of earth that I found. This fragment of stone is very smooth, and it seems to be of a peculiar quality. I shall have to strip it with one of my products. This stone appears to be the same as those found within the rope's fibers. This stone is granite, covered in black paint. The fragments found in the rope and this piece of granite come from the same place. I must compare the samples of earth that I found. And if I mixed this earth with another substance, now it must all be stirred. I can't do that.
The samples of earth taken from beneath the fingernail and from the ropes originate from the same place.
How do you know?
It took just a little water to analyze the consistency. The soil has retained its moisture, even though there hasn't been rain in London for over a week.
This soil could come from the bank of a river, or somewhere where the evaporation is slower. A mine, perhaps, or a trench.
The banks of the Thames are clay soil, unlike our samples, so we can rule that out. The nearest mines are 12 miles away, so I would rule that out also. I would therefore conclude your last theory to be nearer the mark.
A trench?
A pit. Watson, bring me your register of the London hospitals.
Studying the scalpel has given you an idea, then?
Indeed.
I'll get it. Female anatomy. I should put this book somewhere else. General practitioner. That won't be of any use to me. Hospitals and dispensaries in London. I have found my book, Holmes.
Good. Put it on the work table, will you?
Here is the section showing Whitechapel. I made several notations on these pages during our investigation into the Ripper, which might prove useful. All we need to do is to find a hospital or a public dispensary near a location where pits have been dug and black granite has been used.
It's simplicity itself.
I haven't finished my analysis. Now I can make the right decision.
The public dispensary number 4661. It's just opposite the Whitechapel Street Cemetery.
Yes, Watson. The murderer with the missing finger must work in the cemetery, or at least visit it. He could have taken a rope, one of the type they use to lower the coffins into the graves. The granite is minute particles of tombstone.
And he only had to cross the road to steal a scalpel from the dispensary opposite.
I need poison, and apparently very virulent.
Poison. Discreet, efficient, and only detectable via a thorough post-mortem.
Have you been able to isolate the active components, Holmes?
Not with any certainty. This toxic substance surpasses my own knowledge in the field. It is without doubt the work of an expert chemist.
A chemist and a criminal.
As you say, please find my monograph on poisoners of the last 30 years.
Here is where I write my stories about her. And this is how my dear friend and colleague...
According to these documents, Hans Schielmann, known as the Rat Killer, was considered the greatest specialist in chemical poison in the world.
Is he at liberty?
Happily, no. He has been held in the high-security wing of London's Westgate prison for many years now.
Then he cannot be the one who concocted the poison.
Don't dismiss him too quickly, Watson. According to Scotland Yard, the man is exceptionally intelligent. For the greatest criminals, prison is but a mere obstacle. Let's plan a little visit to see Mr. Schielmann tomorrow.
I cannot leave now. Let us look at our deduction board, What? Perfect. Well done, Watson. Our board is finished. It confirms that the bishop's murderers work for one person, who, amongst other things, possesses a very sophisticated poison. They therefore act for someone more educated than themselves.
You remember Wiggins and his gang, the Baker Street irregulars?
Yes, the street urchins, whom you employ upon occasion, and Wiggins is their leader.
Yes. Well, I have hired their services again. I have instructed them to find out the address of the bishop's nephew.
I think he's here.
Hello, Mr. Holmes.
Wiggins, my young friend, have you found the information for which the good Dr. Watson is going to pay you?
Yes, Mr. Holmes, it was easy.
Very well, I understand. Here are a few pennies.
Thanks, Dr. Watson. The man you're looking for lives near Kensington.
Does he live alone?
Yes, but he rents a room for an old lady.
Did she see you?
No, Mr. Holmes, no one saw me.
Perfect. Watson, give our young friend another shilling as a reward for his discretion.
Here we go again. But of course... I'm falling asleep, Holmes. Aren't you tired?
No, I have an exceptional constitution. I can't remember ever having been fatigued by work. Idleness, on the other hand, exhausts me completely. Go to bed, Watson. The night will be short. We leave at dawn.
Wow, this is a real adventure. It's exciting. I like it better than made-up stories. I want to know what happens next. Keep reading. I'm going to.
Ah, I want to listen to.
My readers must excuse me if I do not describe in full detail here the terrible images which haunted me that night.
I had a sense that something extraordinary would take place, but I was scarcely prepared for the reality of it. Good morning, Holmes. Did you get any rest?
I did not attempt to sleep.
Have you managed to come to any conclusions?
I think that we might follow 3 trails. We can visit Whitechapel to try to discover the identity of the murderers by making inquiries at Dispensary 4661 and at the Whitechapel Street Cemetery.
The poison trail seems more important to me. We should perhaps go to Westgate Prison first to see Hans Schielman.
Yes, and let us not forget the bishop's irascible nephew, whose address we now have, thanks to my Baker Street irregulars. I have located each place on our map of London.
Holmes, let me remind you that we still have not been officially instructed to investigate this affair.
Ah, well, we will just have to hide that small detail.
Westgate Prison. Here we are at the famous Westgate Prison, one of the oldest and surest in the kingdom.
I've heard that it is soon going to be demolished. Don't you find it strange that it still houses criminals as dangerous as Hans Schielman?
There's nothing strange about it, Watson. The name of this prison is linked with numerous failed escape attempts. As long as it stands, the criminals will fear it.
Good morning, gentlemen. Are you expected?
No, but we wish to meet with one of your prisoners, Hans Schielman.
I'm afraid that at the moment that is impossible. Access to the cells is controlled strictly. You can't go there without permission from the director.
Then would you be so good as to announce us? I am Sherlock Holmes, and this is Dr. Watson.
The famous Holmes and Watson. What an honour. My name is Brighton. Frank Brighton. I'm afraid that I can't announce you. I'm not allowed to leave my post, under any circumstances. But I'm sure that the director won't refuse to see you, even without an appointment. Do you see the corridor behind the reception? Follow it to the secretary's office. You'll find him there.
Thank you, Warden Brighton. One last thing. Hans Schielman received any visits lately?
None. And I'm sure because I've dealt with receiving visitors for several weeks now. I volunteered because it's a calm post to be in. We don't get many visitors and it gives me time to write. Just like you, Dr. Watson. I enjoy literature and the...
Very good. Thank you.
That was very impolite, Holmes. That man admires our work. You could have given him...
Another time. Let's go and meet the director of the prison. Good morning, miss.
Oh, excuse me, I dropped off. Good morning, gentlemen. What can I do for you?
I am Sherlock Holmes, and this is Dr. Watson. We would like to talk to the director.
I'll just go and see if he can receive you.
Tiredness, pale face, stiffness. I believe that the young lady is expecting a happy event.
It would seem so.
This charming secretary is Miss Jenny Patterson.
This small rack is for urgent letters to be given immediately to the director. The director's office, Mr. P. Patterson. No need to go in there. Strange. The director and the secretary have the same name.
I'm delighted to meet you, Mr. Holmes. I am Paul Patterson, director of this establishment. You wish to talk to me? I hope this unexpected visit isn't to announce bad news.
No, do not worry. We are investigating an affair of the highest importance, one which could potentially affect the security of the kingdom. Therefore, it is imperative that we interview one of your prisoners, Hans Schielman.
Hans, the rat killer? He's been in here for a long while now, and he's had no contact with the outside. How could he be involved in such an affair?
That is what we would like to find out.
And you have been commissioned by Scotland Yard?
Evidently.
Very well. I have complete confidence in you, Mr. Holmes. I will draw up a pass that you should give to Warden James in the guardroom. He will show you to the cells.
Thank you, Director.
Keep me informed of your progress. And if there is anything else, don't hesitate to let me know.
We shall certainly do so.
Miss Patterson, you have the same name as the director. Are you related?
Come, Watson. Anyone who might have made the slightest study of anthropology would have noted the similarities between the young lady and her father.
Mr. Holmes is right, I am his daughter, but he doesn't like to talk about it. I think he's afraid of being accused of favoritism.
I'm sure it was your qualities alone which secured you this position, miss.
If you must try out your powers of seduction, then what do you say about using them on the rat killer? Goodbye, miss.
Goodbye, gentlemen.
Ah, you've got a pass for the high security area. It's the door at the end. Go ahead. My name is Peter James, Chief Warden, and this is Deputy Warden O'Sullivan.
I imagine I will find Hans Schielmann behind these bars in the basement.
Yes, the high security cells are down there.
Is this the only access?
Yes, there was a second door at the end of the main hall, but it's been blocked up as a security measure.
Thank you, Chief Warden.
At your service. If you require further information, Warden Mackenzie will help you. He's at his post in the basement.
Mr. Holmes, I am a huge admirer of yours. I have followed all your cases and successes with the greatest interest.
What enthusiasm! Have you ever thought of a career in the police force?
Have I thought about it? It's my dream. And I'm going to try my chance once this establishment closes down. I'm studying hard for the examination to get into police school.
Tell me about the prisoners, Warden James.
We only have a few. As you might be aware, the days of this place are numbered. Therefore, we no longer receive new prisoners. Those who are already here are among the most dangerous in London. We have 3 at the moment. Hans the Rat Killer and the Flint Brothers.
The Flint Brothers?
Yes, 2 rather simple-minded maniacs who detest one another despite their relation. They massacred their parents and decapitated their neighbours. It took more than 9 policemen to overpower them. See you later, Mr. Holmes.
Here's the famous high-security area.
Warden Mackenzie, at your service, sir.
Good morning, Warden. I have a pass which allows me to speak with prisoner Hans.
Very well. It is the cell at the end to your left. I'd advise you to walk in the middle of the corridor.
What should we...
Hans Schielmann, I require some information from you.
So, who do we have here? The celebrated Sherlock Holmes himself. Do you know that for all the time I have spent rotting in here, you are my first and only visitor? I think this is cause for celebration. A confrontation between 2 geniuses, 2 extraordinary minds.
I am afraid that you are not quite as great a chemist as you believe you are, Mr. Schielmann. I will not say that you never were. No, it was certainly true once. But you see, while you are whiling away your days in here, it appears that someone on the outside is at the point of surpassing you, if that is not already the case.
Yes, I heard about that. A chemical poison that eats away at the flesh and provokes hysteria. I recognize talent when I see it, but it's only a matter of time before I win back my laurels, believe me.
What can you tell me?
That depends on what you can bring to me.
What do you want?
Do you know why I am treated so harshly? For my meals, I am given nothing but a hunk of bread. And even then, not just any sort.
Get to the point.
Never interrupt me! Where was I? Oh, yes, the bread. Did you know that with a little rye yeast, a pinch of moss, certain cockroach secretions, just enough light and damp, with a few other ingredients that I will keep quiet about, I succeeded in poisoning half the staff here. Unfortunately, a little something was omitted, which would have made the results fatal. Instead, it merely caused acute attacks of stress and powerful hallucinations. Even so, I got a great laugh out of watching them cry like babies when they saw their most primitive fears materializing before them.
You are a monster, Mr. Shielman.
Thank you.
It wasn't a compliment.
But of course it was! You others, you ordinary, narrow-minded people, you are afraid of anything that you cannot comprehend. You call me a monster because what you find impossible to face is just the slightest fraction of my genius. If by monster you mean someone who is nothing like you, then it is a compliment.
What do you need?
Very little. Just something to write with. You see, my brain races like an engine with too many thoughts. I see them crackle and explode into thousands of formulae right in front of me. What a torture not to be able to write them down. What a hell to see them vanish just as quickly as they appear to me. Just bring me something that I can write with.
That's all. That seems an easy enough request to fulfill.
But listen, I don't want a vulgar inkwell and a pigeon's feather. No, I need material fit for my talent. I want my ink pen. Bring it to me, and I will be happy to pass on to you a little of my knowledge of modern chemistry.
Where is it?
It was confiscated upon my arrival here. I suppose it might be in my locker, in the locker room. Leave me now, and don't come back without my ink pen. See you soon, Mr. Holmes.
Warden Mackenzie, at your service, sir.
It is the guard's guest book, perhaps for distinguished guests.
Sorry, sirs.
Cleaning materials, otherwise known as a broom cupboard. Closed. Staff cloakroom.
The locker room. This is where the prisoners' things are kept. The
closed. Miss, may we borrow the keys to the locker room?
You will need authorization from the director to open that door. If you wait a moment, then I will inform him.
We will wait, thank you.
Anything new, Mr. Holmes? Is your investigation advancing? Mr. Holmes, have you been able to get what you wanted from our lodger?
Not yet. We must first cast light upon a crucial point, and for that we require your help again.
What can I do?
We need to examine Shieldman's civilian clothing.
Very well, but be extremely careful.
What do you mean?
In that madman's compartment, you will find a strange little coded case which refused point blank to open when he was incarcerated. We did try to force it, but without success.
Didn't you ask the experts?
Of course we did. Experts from Scotland Yard came to examine it, but they came to the conclusion that it was better that the case remain shut than tamper with it too much.
I see. They were afraid that some poison or other might escape if it was opened.
Exactly. Bear in mind that this man is an evil genius, a master poisoner, and that his poisons are never ordinary. Here's the key to the locker room. I give you the authorization to open it.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Patterson.
Miss Patterson, the guards are still waiting for you to put up the duty list. Do it as soon as possible. Without it, the changing of the guard cannot take place. Or had you forgotten?
Dry your tears, miss. I'm certain that your father didn't mean to hurt you.
Mr. Watson, I can't put up the duty list. And when he finds out, he'll be furious.
Why can't you?
It's in my locker, in the cloakroom, and I've lost the key.
Your aunt.
Say no more, Holmes. As you keep repeating, time is against us. Let's go and look at the things in the rat killer's locker.
Here is the locker of our friend, Hans, the mad scientist.
Oh, what a jumble!
A paper knife. Blotting paper. This solid box must hold a precious object. Let us see. Nothing of interest. Nothing of That's not right. Start again. Nothing of it. There is something interesting here. There is something in... No, it is unnecessary. No. No, it is I can't. I can't. There is something interesting. Blotting paper. That's not right. Start again. That's not right. Start again. That's not right. Start again. Nikon. There is something interesting here. Blotting paper. There is something in. There is something in. There is some. This cannot be a simple coincidence. Perfect.
What is written on that note, Holmes?
Later, Watson, later. We can give Hans his pen.
What a bunch of incompetents. Oh, if I was as unprofessional as that, there would be murderers running all over the town.
What's the matter? Are you a patient of Dr. Watson?
Very amusing.
I was going on about the dry cleaners in Westgate Street. They've just delivered my ceremonial uniform in the middle of my duty, when I've told them 1,000 times not to bring it until after 6 in the evening.
A ceremonial uniform? You've been promoted?
No, and that's not about to happen. No, I've been invited to a wedding. I mean, I hope to be. I'm in trouble. If the director sees that I've left my post, I'll be sacked without pay.
Give it to me, Warden Brighton. I'll take care of it for you.
Really? Thanks a lot. Here's the key to the cloakroom and that of my locker. I'm really grateful, Mr. Holmes.
What have you got in mind, Holmes? You're not doing this out of kindness, are you?
No, out of curiosity. We will be able to access the cloakroom with these keys.
What should we...
We can give Hans his pen. Staff cloakroom. Closed. 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 Locked. I can feel a draft. This must be the access to the inside yard. Closed.
What should we do next, Holmes?
We can give... Closed. Locked. I can feel... Miss Patterson's locker. Closed. Bicarbonate of soda.
Brighton must have an upset stomach, caused by stress without a doubt.
The name on the key is Jenny Patterson. That is interesting.
Bicarbonate of soda. Brighton must have an upset stomach.
I need something. Let us examine Miss Patterson's locker.
The lock on this box is rather sophisticated.
Incredible. Is Jenny hiding something? It's really very clever. Little Jenny is astonishing.
A locket, sealing the relation between Jenny and Warden Brighton. Decidedly, this boy is not a great poet. A letter from Brighton to Jenny. Barely literate.
Apparently, Jenny is carrying Brighton's child, and it seems that Jenny's father, the director, is unaware of this.
Here is the famous guard duty list. Interesting.
We have found the guard duty cards, miss. If you like, I can go and discreetly give them to the guards.
Oh, thank you. You've got me out of a lot of trouble, Mr. Holmes.
Sorry, sirs. I'm on duty.
Sorry, Mr. Holmes, you can't go into the basement for the moment.
For what reason?
The door has locked itself automatically. We must enter a new security code.
Do it, then.
Miss Patterson hasn't put up the guard duty list yet. Without that information, we don't know who's authorised to take note of the new code.
So Mackenzie is locked in the high security zone.
Yes, but don't worry about him. He's trained for this sort of dysfunction.
Why not ask the director to take note of the code and open the door?
He isn't allowed to, and I doubt that he would run the risk of going against the orders of the administration centre. Anyway, the bars in the high security section are joined to the alarm system, which is in that room. We only need to sound it to unblock, but you see we can't do that now.
We'll try to find the duty list, Warden James.
We have found Chief Warden James's duty list.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Holmes. Let's see. O'Sullivan, it's you who takes over from Mackenzie. Take note of the code, please, and unblock the door.
At once, Chief. Ah, Mr. Holmes, could I ask you for a favour?
Please do.
I think I can say on behalf of all the staff that we would be honoured if you would care to write something in our guest book.
With pleasure, O'Sullivan. You seem worn out, O'Sullivan. A good night's sleep would do you good.
A good night's sleep would do me good. You're right, Mr. Holmes.
Is something worrying you?
As you know, Westgate Prison will soon be demolished, and I'm spending most of my nights studying for my exam to join the police. You understand, I have to think about my future, so sleep isn't a priority at the moment.
Scotland Yard is always looking for young, competent and motivated men. Would a letter of recommendation from me allow you to get some sleep?
What? A letter from Mr. Sherlock Holmes recommending me for Scotland Yard? Are you quite serious?
Completely serious, my young friend. May I use this writing paper? The one on your desk.
1,000 thanks, Mr. Holmes. 1,000 thanks.
It is addressed to Inspector Baines, a good friend of mine. There's no need to remind you that it must be opened only by the person to whom it is addressed.
Yes, of course. I'll give it to him personally. Thank you again, Mr. Holmes. At your service, Mr. Holmes.
Well,
What do you need?
very little. What a torture not to be able to...
That's all.
But
Where is it?
it was... See you. Well,
You have what you wanted. Your precious pen.
you seem annoyed, Mr. Holmes. I would even go so far as to say terribly worried.
Why should you care, Mr. Shielman? Let's talk about that poison.
I am not talking about you in the grip of natural emotions found in ordinary people who are confronted by the inexplicable. But as for Mr. Holmes, you are embarrassed, aren't you? Are you hiding something?
That is enough, Shielman.
You have kept your word. Therefore, I will keep mine. At this moment, the poison which so interests you isn't finished yet. Its maker is encountering great difficulties in attaining the desired results.
What is the end result?
Now, Mr. Holmes, the end result of any science, as Descartes once said, to become the master and owner of nature. Here we are talking about human nature, of course. And the creator's problem isn't so much the mixture as the durability of his creation.
What do you mean?
You see, this poison was made using rare but very volatile short-living compounds, which means that it is only possible to produce small quantities, which most importantly do not keep for a long time. Conceiving such a product in a laboratory especially built for the purpose could be achieved by any good chemist. But recopying this alchemy on another scale and keeping it ready at any moment, observing the particular conservation and storing conditions that a substance of this type requires, well, That would need a genius. I doubt if the creator of this mixture would be capable.
And you would be, of course.
Of course.
Luckily, you are going to spend the rest of your life in prison.
Luck is cyclical. It always comes around again, sooner or later. As far as I am concerned, I have the feeling that the cycle is going to be very short.
Holmes, it sounds to me as though this Shielman is implying that an escape attempt will be made.
Yes, we must go and warn the director.
It is out of the question that your bastard is named Patterson. Very well. You refuse to reveal the father to me? Well, then go and join him. I'm not stopping you.
I can't.
Director, you will have to postpone this small family reunion. We believe that a serious scheme is afoot. We must act without delay.
You're not thinking of...
Yes. Shielman's words leave no room for doubt. It seems that he is planning an escape attempt. We strongly advise you to search his cell.
Do you really believe that he's hiding something? Because I must make an official report and have a legitimate reason for doing a search.
Director, if this prison is still in operation, it is solely because of its reputation. Think of the consequences of an escape. It would be closed at once. And what post do you imagine would be offered to the person deemed responsible?
You're right. No one will escape from Westgate under Patterson. I will order an immediate search of Mr. Shielman's cell.
Chief Warden James reporting. The search of prisoner Hans Shielman's cell has been carried out. No suspicious items were found.
Thank you, Chief James. I feel better now. Without wishing to offend you, Mr. Holmes, I am glad that you were mistaken.
If I'm not mistaken, we've nothing more to do here. Shall we go, Holmes?
There's just one more thing for me to see, Watson.
What's that?
Mr. Holmes, sorry to interrupt you, but Miss Jenny wishes to see you alone. She's waiting for you in her office.
This, Watson.
How did you know?
Wait for me in the guard's room. I won't be long.
What an extraordinary gentleman that Sherlock Holmes is. You must have had lots of adventures with him.
Oh, yes, dozens.
Thought he was infallible, but there wasn't anything out of the way in the rat killer's cell. Could he have been mistaken?
I must admit...
Warden Brighton, in my office immediately. That's an order.
The director seems furious.
Yes, it must be important for him to order Brighton to leave his post.
I wouldn't want to be in his shoes.
Did you hear that?
Yes, that's not normal. I've never heard Flint shout like that.
But why doesn't O'Sullivan sound the alarm?
Follow me, Mackenzie. Let's go and have a look.
I'll come with you.
No, Dr. Watson, you're not allowed in. Wait for me here.
Very well.
Hey, but... the grill is blocked, Chief.
We've been locked in. And that smoke, it's coming from below. O'Sullivan! Can you hear us?
Sully, are you alive? Answer us, Sully.
What's going on? Can I help you?
Sound the alarm in the guard's room. That should unblock the door. Be quick. O'Sullivan might be in danger.